Hi, good evening. This evening I am with Lesedi Gaeemelwe, also called Mrapa. She's an artist. In that package, she's an MC, she's a singer, she's a rapper, she's an author, she's a DJ, she is everything. What are you not? Hi, Lesedi.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
What are you not? You are everything.
I guess so. I can do all things. What do they say?
So you are an artist. So
Yes.
and you have just recently produced a book. But before we go to the book, let's talk about you being a DJ. Where do you do all these things? Being an MC, where do you get to do all this?
Okay, well, a lot of my friends will hear about it and then they'll tell me, oh, I have an event somewhere. Can you come and DJ? Can you come and MC? Sometimes at church, sometimes different events, and I'll be there to do my thing.
So of all the artistry, let's just stay a bit off, because if you can be an artist in 5 different fields if you want, then that means you are really quite busy in that field. Which of the 5 would you say you are busy at? Are you busy as an MC, are you busy as a rapper? And also your middle name. Maybe your middle name can be a cue for us. Where are you busy in all these 5 talents that you have?
Okay. Yes, my middle name is Mrepa, Holy Mrepa. I'm mostly busy with the rapping and poetry right now. Yes, and I just released a book, so I'm also busy with also promoting the book and dancing as well, because sometimes with poetry and rapping, you have to incorporate other forms of creativity. I'm a creator. I'm a creative. I prefer to call myself a creative. Yes. So yes, it's the 5 that I'm mostly busy at. I would say rapping, poetry, dancing, writing. The book I'm
So
promoting
you're all
it right
like
now.
busy everywhere.
And speaking, public speaking is like emceeing. Yes, yeah, yes. Those are the top 5. I'd say I'm mostly busy at.
Okay, but of all the 5, you now have intellectual property on 1.
Yes.
Take me through that. You had expected, maybe I should have expected you to have produced a rap, I don't know what is it called, rapping CD
An
before a
album,
book,
before
because
a book,
that
yes.
it comes across as a dominant one. How do we have a book before a CD or a rapping and yeah?
Quite a surprise to me too. But I've always been a creative. I've always liked telling stories and writing stories. I've written a number of theatricals. Some of the stories are in the book. I always thought, because yes, I'm a rapper, then the album would come first. But it seems like the storytelling came before the album. But I've always written songs and released the songs, had a few low quality videos here and there. But yeah, but something, yeah, I'm dead. I've produced this book now from my theatricals, Little Wana Stories. Yeah, it came before the albums. I beats me too.
You are a teacher. Would you say your being a teacher influenced the kind of book that you write? Or, yeah, would you say, have you always thought yourself as somebody in the field of entertaining children? Or you just, like you say, you didn't know even about, you write the book before all the other talents? Would you say, have you seen yourself before going that direction?
I saw myself entertaining children in a massive way, because I entertain myself with children's movies. I love, different children's musicals, like what Alice in Wonderland. I like watching fantasy. So I saw myself producing something of that sort, something big. I just didn't know I would put it inside a book.
Okay.
Like I have produced theatricals before. Being a teacher and it influencing myself writing a book, I wouldn't say it has influenced it that much, except just having to deal with students and learning how a child's mind works and things like that. I'd say it's just from my creativity, liking to entertain people and entertaining children and loving children's entertainment, seeing myself entertaining them. That's how the book came about.
Okay, congratulations on the book.
Thank you so much.
It takes a lot to be a writer.
It
Yeah.
does.
So let's link your being an author with what you studied at school. You studied business admin.
Yes, I studied business
So how
administration.
do we then link that with what you are doing currently? Would you say, why are you dominantly in the arts, but you studied something? Is there a link or?
Yeah, I think in life, expectations of people. I've always been creative. I wanted to do these things, and then there were other expectations. When sometimes you want to do something. I wanted to be a teacher when I was a child, when I was 7 years old. Then later on, I wanted to be a TV presenter. And then eventually now, when I was growing up, medical fields and scientific fields were the ones that were the in thing, especially for people who were performing well in school. Then when I was applying, I put those medical courses first, but I ended up being chosen for business administration. It was my last choice at the University of Botswana.
Okay.
I'd also applied for being a teacher for another scholarship, but I didn't take it because of the whole stigma attached to teaching at the time. So I ended up going for the business administration.
And when you're doing a business admin, you are not planning to be a teacher?
I wasn't planning to be a teacher outwardly, but it was something that was in me somehow, yes.
After teaching, then you do PGDE?
After business administration, I studied PGDE, yes.
And then you go MBA?
And I did MBA, yes.
You still don't see the artistic part?
Yes, yes. I was doing these things professionally, scholarly, academically, but my real life was in the arts. I was performing, rapping, doing all these things in my church life and my social life. But at school and at work, I was doing this teaching and this business and business teaching.
You like school?
I love school. I love academics. I would love to retire into an academic field, but still with my creativity. That's what I'd like to do one day, yeah.
So, I want to just, you have a lot of things that you do. I know you are also writing. I've always known you like writing because we have met in other places where we talked about writing. And, but you're broad, especially in the field of artistic. Do you use MBA anywhere? Would you say your business studies and your MBA, going even up to MBA in it, are you finding them, using them in any way?
Yes, to a certain degree, yes. I'm using some of the things that I have in my MBA and my BBA in some of the things that I do now. Now I have to sell the book, I have to market it, I have to make sure it's public. So yes, to a certain degree, yes.
You are a Christian?
I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again Christian. I believe in the salvation of Jesus Christ. Yes.
So are you predominantly artistic in the Christian circle? Are you confined to Christian, or are you broad in your presentation of art?
Most of my work that has meaning speaks of the gospel. It even though the packaging might not scream gospel, but anybody who gets in touch with my material will meet Jesus. Even with the book that I've just written, it's quite a nice children's book, colorful and enticing. Somebody would want to read it, but the moment you read the first book, that's it. I'll have you captured in what I truly and mostly believe in. So most of my work that has true meaning, most of my work that I truly, really want to do is all about the gospel.
So you want to really be an art in the field of Christianity and to spread the gospel. That's what you believe is would you say your core?
Yes, that's what I believe is my core. Yes.
One of the things that I want us to pick in this book is a children's book, especially now that we are in the 16 days of activism. There's a story that talks to gender-based violence. No, not gender-based. Actually, it's molestation around the girl child. Would you want to address? It says Andrea says no.
Yes.
I picked it because, especially in the way that we are in the year. So, would you want to talk to it? Why this one? Why would you pick this?
Yes, Andrea Says No is one of the stories in my book. I actually wasn't sure if I should add this story to this book, considering how touchy the subject can be, also because of the age range that I was writing the book for. I had to wait a bit until I was sure which stories to include in the book, until everything was confirmed that these stories are okay for the book. So Andrea was the last story to be confirmed that it should be part of.
Oh, and it's the last story, yes.
It's not the last story, but it was the last one that I was fully sure that it should be part of the book.
And where do we get confirmation from?
From the Holy Spirit. Yes.
Okay, no, I like
But
that.
I also talked to my friends. I was talking to another friend of mine who was also helping me to go over the book, and we were wondering if the story might be a bit too touchy-feely, sensitive maybe for this type of material. But then when he saw how I packaged the story, he said, no, this is okay. This is actually okay. It can communicate to a child as young as 3 and not damage what they already have at that stage.
Okay.
Yes.
No, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for that. It's a very, yeah, Botswana is still struggling with issues of, especially gender-based violence, girl child, protection of the girl child. But maybe moving forward with your story, you have, like I said, you have a very rich life. You live your life, and I want us to talk about, normally there's a belief that Christians are conservative, and usually conservative and therefore not be able to express themselves as freely as maybe you do. Have you had people maybe commenting about you being free-spirited and wondering how does it happen in a church environment?
Yeah, people do comment about me being free spirited. I hear people a lot saying I'm free spirited, I'm real, those things, I'm natural. I've been hearing those things all of my life. Just I probably couldn't really understand what they meant. I've always thought everybody is the way they are. The way if someone is shy, then it's because they're shy. It's that personality. If someone is loud, then they're loud. It's that personality. Then I'm the way I am. I don't think I'm loud, but I'm the way I am because this is my personality. I didn't quite get what people meant when they said I'm natural or free. I didn't understand really.
Yeah, because I think once in a while I get that one because sometimes I write little stories that we sometimes, I think what I've heard sometimes is people say Christianity confines you. It constricts how much you can express yourself. Like there's an expectation that a Christian should behave this way, not this way. I think that's what maybe they're coming from. That's how they come from. But did you get that? You thought it was to do with personality.
I thought it was to do with personality because also with Christianity now you're talking me socially with other Christians. Yeah, I've been blessed with fellow saints, fellow believers who I fellowship with, who are very supportive of the work I do. No matter how extreme or how loud I am, or even with hip hop, because when I started rapping, it was back in university days, like around in October 2003, 2004. There was not much gospel rap at the time, but nobody saw it as, oh, you're doing something that's taboo. Everybody was supportive. I remember when I did my first song, Emmanuel, the pastors were supporting it, the song, it was gospel, everybody was supportive.
Was it rap?
It was rap, yes. Emmanuel is a rap song. The environment of church for me has never put me in chains. It's always been freedom for me.
Okay, that's good. So you can actually say to young people or to anybody who feels like church is a constraint, but you can actually express yourself in church.
Yes, church.
And what do you think?
Church is not a constraint at all. It's
why
freedom.
would you think people say that then? Because, like you say, you've heard it often. People say you are free. That means people know there's an opposite to being free in the church. What do you think?
I think maybe the introduction of Christianity or the gospel to people might have had an influence on how they perceive a Christian to be. Maybe when somebody first got to know God, they got to know God through someone who portrayed God as strict and rules and boundaries and things like that. Probably that was how Christianity was introduced to them. It wasn't introduced to me like that.
Okay, but
Yes.
you understand, for when the Son of Man says you're free,
Then you are free
you are
indeed.
free indeed.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you for that. But you have another story that I was talking to you earlier that for the news, with all the other stories, because a person is made by a lot of other stories.
Yes.
And if you are sitting in the newsroom picking what will make the headlines, there will be others that make the headlines. And I think for me, is your time in prison. I want us to just tell us about, you spent the time in prison in 2009 to 2011.
Yes.
Would you tell a bit about that? What happened?
Yes, I was in prison from 2009 October to 2011 January. That was for 1 year, 3 months. It was in 2005 when I got into a fight with my cousin and I splashed her with hot water.
Boiling hot water.
Boiling hot water, yes. And it was an assault. It's called grievous bodily harm. So it was a court case until 2009 when I was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. Yes. I was a Christian at the time when I did that. It was a time when I was quite low in spirit. I wasn't meditating on the word. I let the things of the world control me from outside, not be controlled by the word of God from within. So I ended up being that cruel to my cousin and doing that to my cousin during our fight. And then, yes, eventually I ended up in prison. And then, I don't know if I should talk about prison now.
Okay,
or I should cover-
yeah, you went to prison, so just a bit, you were in court, and then you were sentenced to prison.
Yes.
And you were put in handcuffs.
I wasn't handcuffed. They took me straight from court to prison.
Like put you in the back of the truck, and then you were
Yes.
taken to prison.
Yes.
Was it real? Were you thinking, no, this can't be me? Or what?
When it happened, because at the time, I was going through counseling actually with the church prior to the sentencing. So when it happened, even though it didn't seem real, somehow I guess the person who was counseling me had somehow prepared me for it. So I didn't believe it when I was sentenced. It only clicked in when they were taking the picture for the prison. You know where you hold your name and they take that picture? That's when it kicked in, like, okay, you're in prison now. Yes.
So that's actually happens in prison, because normally we think it's a movie thing. You always
now
say,
there is the picture where you hold your name and they take the picture and then they give you the prison suit.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
that's when it happened. Yeah, that's when it kicked in. And yeah, it was horrible that day. I cried the whole night. I think that night, but within 2 days, 3 days, everything had changed now. It was like I was experiencing God in a way I'd never experienced God before. Yeah, I think I cried the first night. The second night, maybe half night.
you were crying.
Half night only, and then I was with God. And I experienced God in a way I have never experienced him before. I sometimes hope to experience him the same way. Even after prison, I have never experienced him the way I did that time when I was in prison.
Yeah, I wanted to break that down for us, because I've seen in the write-up that I was reading about you, where you talk about the prison time was one of the most beautiful time in your life.
Yes.
And for somebody, if you talk prison, it sounds like a contradiction. How do you say prison time was the most beautiful time of your life? And what do you mean you met God? What happened?
I really hope I find the words to explain this. But yes, the time that I spent in prison was the best time of my life. I felt like I was working with God hand to hand. I was with him the whole time. It was like just the two of us. Yes, I am with God even now. But there, it was different. It was almost like I had gone into something where there was nothing else and just me and him. I really hope I find the words to explain it. So when I was there, it wasn't really as bad as you would think it would be, or how I thought it would be coming in
Yeah.
to the place. It's just a place, it's a physical place, like any other place, like how we are now. You are with other people. Yes, in your head you are locked in, but it's just a place.
Okay. Would you say maybe the experience, maybe that you spend more time alone? Did you spend more time alone?
Yes, I had more time for study. For study actually with my school and study of the word, because I was still a student at the time.
Student at
And
University of Botswana.
yeah, and the system, the whole system was able to help me to finish school while I was in there.
That's your first degree.
That's the first degree, the BBA degree. And I also had time to study the word also. And I was studying it now alone, with God, with the Holy Spirit, alone there. It was awesome. There were also people who were visiting the prison at the time. They were very encouraging. And I had awesome support also from the church, from the other saints who would visit, who would also write letters to me. And it was amazing. I mean, like, even with I had an amazing time when I was there, really. I don't know. I wish I could
Did you learn any
explain.
new skill? Did you learn skills, or is it?
Oh, skills there. Actually, the fashion designing, because there was a machine there. That's why I actually learned how to make skirts and dresses and things. Yes, that's what I learned there.
Okay,
The
before
only
we-
hard part there was not knowing how my parents and my immediate family is feeling, because they thought I was suffering. But I really tried to tell them every time they visited that I was fine. But yeah, I would encourage them a lot. I didn't know how it was affecting my mom, my dad, because they love me so much. My little sister and my brother. I didn't know how it was affecting them. I was hoping that they know that I am so well. Yeah.
And I can imagine you were thinking, maybe they don't even believe me.
Yes,
Because nobody
yes.
would ever think prison is a place like you talk about.
Yes.
And you talked about earlier, before you talked about even, because in our minds we think it's a dirty place, that is not comfortable, that is, how is it? Is it habitable? Is it?
Oh, the women's prison. I was in her village women's prison. It's very clean. It's cleaner than even my life here outside, because it's headed by women warders. So everything is clean, and they expect you to bath many times. You know, I'm not a bather myself. It's clean. It's well in order. You don't know prison, yeah?
No, sorry, I don't know. No,
It's
I have
clean,
been there. I have
it's-
been in the open where
Yes.
everybody comes. I think I've been there once or twice. I think I once visited a relative, but you stay the other side of the dark glass. Were you also like that when you were visited? Did people have to stay the other side of the dark glass and then?
Oh no, at the women's prison, when they visit you, they're in the same room as you. There's no glass.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Or it's
at the
only-
time when I was in there, I don't know about today.
or it was for men.
Yes, and the diet is also quite good. I mean, I'm a Coke, I'm a Coke addict. So when I was there was no Coke, so I got to drink a lot of water. My skin was glowing.
How do you mean there was no cook?
I get it there. There's a diet for convicts. There's a convict's diet,
Eh.
which is greens like mirojo and protein, and there's a convict's diet which is very healthy.
Oh, so it's
yeah,
really healthy.
Yeah, it
You
really
came out
helped.
glowing.
I came out glowing. I was healthy and all of that. Yes. So,
Okay, no,
so it
that's,
was all right. Yeah.
okay, so yeah, that's a very interesting story. It's when we get it from you, of course, the glowing and the liveliness you talk about it makes it us believe that you actually had a good time. But do you have closure with your cousin? After that, did you guys have time to sit and forgive each other and move on? Yeah.
Yes, actually, before I went there, I had already started asking for forgiveness from her. She told me she wanted to forgive me, but every time she looks back, she sees the scar on her back. She tried to forgive me. I do know that she really tried to forgive me. But then when I came out in January, I told my parents that actually I apologized to my parents first, because like I told you, when I was in there, my struggle was watching my parents not knowing that I'm okay, because it was really hard for them. So I apologized to them first for having taken them through that the whole ordeal, you know. My dad was even saying, "Kana counseling ini hiwa nahela, le bone ho ngene ba tlhoka counseling and stuff." So I apologized to them, and I also I told them I'd like to formally apologize to my cousin and just bring the family together, because the whole family was kind of divided, because you know there'd be those
Yeah.
who'd be like supporting me, or oh, how could you do that to her? Okay, it's a family thing, you shouldn't have taken her there. You know, the other family would be like, no, yeah, let her go. So the whole family was kind of like split. So I told my parents I want to apologize to my cousin and just have the whole family get over it, because I'm really so over it.
You're over
Yes,
it.
so the families met, and I apologized to my cousin, and she had already forgiven me. Even she said that at the meeting, and the families reconciled, and we're a family now again. Yes.
But the strains are done. You never had to suffer the tension or the emotional trauma from that. You tend to move on faster.
Yeah, there was emotional tension from.
From that, from the experience of having to maybe what
The
happened, what
social-
you
the-
did. No,
the-
you as a person, or this is a bad thing that I did, and then take a long time. Did it take you time to heal? Take time to forgive yourself? Take time to just to pass through that stage of your.
Yes, the whole time that I was with God in prison, all of that was taken care of. Yes.
Okay. Did you had people visiting to preach to you?
Yes, there are people who do prison ministry, and they're doing an amazing job. Those people are yeah, they do a great job. The people who are into prisons. Yes, they were visiting us. They would even give us platforms there to minister also to other prisoners. So even when you're in there, you don't really feel like, oh, these people are coming into prison to minister to me. They even give the prisoners a platform to minister to other prisoners and even to them.
Okay.
Yeah, you
do you
should
have, do you have
visit
friends
prison.
from there? Do you have friends from there? Do you make friends? Do you have people that you still call friends from that time?
Yes, there are people I know from there, from the fellow inmates and the warders, the people who were working there. I still talk to them now and then. Yeah.
So outside school, where you're a teacher, and outside your arts, where you, before we go to maybe to just to know the other things that interest you more, where now with COVID, we see a lot of concerns from especially the performing arts and that the business has gone down. What would you say there's been a change in you being engaged, and what has happened in your talents since the era of COVID?
Well, for me, COVID has boomed my work, my art. I've done well. I think I've done the best this year than I've ever done in many other years in my creative work.
How is that so?
I've just released a book. I did my first poem, which hit really hard this year. I did my first emceeing, my big
MC.
TV hosting this year. I did a whole lot of things during the time of COVID, more than I've ever done in the times that people were free to roam around. So I'd say for me it was a breakthrough.
How is that so? How does that happen?
Probably God's time, I don't know. Yeah, but for me it hasn't been a challenge like it would be perceived to be.
So beside DJing, I mean, I wouldn't want to. Tell me the things that interest you more. What things do you, when you are not DJing, when you're not doing your artistic work, when you are not at school, what do you do? What does your life entail?
Well, I'm a hopeless romantic. I love romance. So I like to talk about men, romance. I like to talk about my crushes or my crush, one crush. I like, I love romance and marriage and family life. And I like to talk about that with my friends, even with people I don't know, because I like to know what people think about those things. So when you're talking to Lesedi, you know she's probably going to talk about something of that sort. Yes.
What do you talk? You talk about, I like so and so, I want, what do you mean you are hopeless romantic?
Yeah, you know, like when
You
you're,
fantasize.
I get captivated. If I start liking you, I'll become captivated. So I'd like to talk about it and express it. You know, and I'd express it. Yeah, and I like to listen to other people expressing themselves as well when they talk about romance. Yeah, and I love the book of the Song of Solomon. I love it. You know, and things that are in there. Yeah, so that's another part of me.
Okay, so do we see you producing a book in that line, or a song, or a poem, or in that direction?
I don't know. Right now, I'm focused on the children, little Ngwana stories. If I'm to produce something, let me leave that to the others. I just like talking about it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So beside romantic things, what are you? Do you talk politics? Do you talk business, or what else do you engage yourselves in?
I listen to people talking business and politics. They're not really my area. My highly intelligent friends will be talking politics, you know,
Why you
intelligent.
say highly intelligent?
You know, I have friends who like to talk. I can listen for a while, but just for a short while and then zone out. Yeah. I'm not really into politics that much, but I do follow and I do comment here and there.
So where do we see you from now? What happens after Lesedi has produced a book, Lesedi, the DJ, Lesedi the MC, the Lesedi the Christian girl? Where do we see you going?
I hope to produce more books of Little Ngwana. Like I said at the beginning, that I see myself as a huge, massive child entertainer. So not just in book form, but I'd like to create big theatricals, you know, where the children will gather, you know, post-COVID, and they'll be enchanted and amazed and produce these things. I'd like to see this book become a series of cartoons, you know, animation. You know, I'm planning on producing the audio for this book. I also see myself writing more songs, releasing my rap album and poetry album. You know, finally one day I hope to release it too. I hope to be a TV presenter one day. Maybe give me a show to host, BTV.
Why don't you start your own TV?
Yeah, you know, or maybe I could start my own
They
TV,
always
but
say
host my own show, you know?
Yeah, they always say if you don't have space at the table, why not set your own? We can set your own table and then start calling shows there.
Absolutely,
Instead
absolutely.
of waiting for somebody to It looks like our discussion always then come back to the book, because that's currently the big theme for you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess maybe we expect to see some of your talents maybe shrinking a bit and just focus, because writing takes a lot of you. It takes a lot from you, writing, thinking, planning. So are we seeing other talents maybe suffering from
Not really. I'm going to balance it. It's a book and it's storytelling. So with stories, you infuse other forms of art. Yeah, like theatricals even involve dances. They involve songs and poems. So in some of the stories, I could even, as I'm working on the audio right now, this means I would probably even be doing the poetry, reciting the stories maybe in the form of poetry and songs. These are children's storybooks, and children are not only taught through storytelling but also through songs. So I'll also be writing songs for the children and many other things.
So
So
you're taking
other
the whole,
talents will
you're
not
taking the
be,
whole, the whole
yeah,
thing.
the whole thing coming in.
Okay.
Yes.
So now let's talk about family. How you grew up. Where did you grow up? What? Maybe the things you can tell us, because we take a lot from how we were brought up. It influences how we approach life. Maybe your confidence, your assertiveness, your free-spirited. We can trace it to how. Just tell us about your family. Where are you from? Where did you grow up? And yeah.
I was born in Gaborone to my mom and my dad. I'm the second born. The first one, my brother, is a man. Yes. It's a normal family. I was always an outspoken child, outgoing. So they have always received me that way. I've never felt like yeah, papa or anything like that. If any comments of that sort were coming, they were coming from outside, not from within the family. So they've always encouraged me to be the
To
way
be
that I
yourself,
am.
yeah, to be
I've
yourself.
never felt like I'm not okay. So everything I said was just received well.
So
So
you grew in an environment where you're allowed to express yourself without
yes,
fear
so
of for that. Hey, when you know to bua thata.
yeah, that's
So
that's when we were younger with my brother. Later on, my sister was born. Yeah, and it continued that way. I've always loved art. I've always loved these things that I was always doing. So they were always supportive of them. I remember my first audition for TV presenting was when I was 11 years old. Yeah, they were supportive. I remember at the audition, it was my dad who went to pick us up, and he was like, "Oh yeah,
what
yeah,
were you
yeah."
auditioning for?
It was for some GBC show, a GBC show back in 1996. I was 11 with a friend of mine, Lebogang. We're still friends even today. Yes, and they've always been there to support me
So you
in
never
what I
tried your
do.
luck at BTV?
I have auditioned for some shows at BTV.
So yes, one day will come. It will come. So you
Amen.
grew up in a family that supported you. So you believe maybe even your expression, your being expressive, was allowed when you were growing up.
It was
Because
definitely yes.
sometimes how ngwe bana ba gola ba kgalemelwa thata gore a go ditse mala go tsa mme ngwanyana go ena re se re di kgang. You didn't get that.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so who are your friends?
I have so many friends. I've been blessed with so many friends. But my friends, my best friends are Connie, Constance Walevata, Angel Situmo, Brenda, Kwape, hey, don't sing on thing today. Lerato Bahumi. Hey, you're gonna hey, I have so many friends, Ayanda, Miss K, Delia, also Juby.
These are old friends.
You're gonna-
Oh, why are you laughing?
I'm sorry. I'm so many. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've got so
Like
many.
close circle. That's a close circle.
Yes, that's my close circle. I haven't mentioned all of them. Yes.
So
Yes.
these are old time friends or these are new friends? Who has been with you all along and how have they influenced how you in a way?
Yes. So
Who gets to know your first crush or who gets to hear first your current crush or whatever? Who gets to hear those first?
yeah, so it's them. Like whoever is near the phone, someone who's active with the phone. Like Miss K would be the first maybe to know. Someone who's fast with the phone, or maybe Lesero, Koboni, or I don't know. And then with Connie, she'd be the first to know, but then she's not very good with her phone. So maybe up when I meet her, or if she answers the phone. And then, yeah, so it depends, but they're usually the first to know. Sometimes the first person to know is not even my friend. Because sometimes I talk to just anyone. Yeah, sometimes I like to get the opinion of children. But I wouldn't relay it as this is my crush. I'd tell it in a different way and then get the opinion of the child.
Opinion
So-
on what?
On I'd relate. I have a way of relaying my stories to children in a way they don't quite get what I'm saying when I'm talking to them. So then I'd get the opinion first.
This is very interesting, this story of crushes. So you always had crushes. What happens? Then you have a crush and then they get to know, they don't get to know, or you just crush from a distance?
Eventually, I think they get to know. They get to know whether from other people or from me, I don't know. Yeah, but they always get to know it. Somehow my crushes have never been crushes. Somehow I've never been the crush of my crush. Yes, that I don't know why. Oh, but
So
but yeah,
how do you then get to know they know?
I know they know. So
Or the behavior changes?
yeah, and I know it goes out. I know it gets to them. It comes out eventually.
And you don't mind?
No, not at all. No.
You have a very interesting character. So yeah, so Lesedi is the author, Lesedi is the professional, Lesedi. It's very interesting that even as you talk about growing academically, you don't mention the arts growing. Do we see you, maybe your PhD, growing in taking the direction of the arts? You've talked also about earlier about being a professor. Are you seeing you going into university, pursuing that line? Or,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I hope to do a PhD in something now more creative, like maybe creative writing, something more artistic, and I hope to get into something like that. Retire into a university, maybe of something more creative. I hope to.
Why talk about retire? Why don't you pursue that route when you're still young?
Well, I'm running around now. I'm running around now, but later on, now when I'm more, when I now want to maybe just sit down, then I'd call that maybe retiring, but retiring into something artistic, where I'll be consulted for such things, and yeah, yes.
Okay, we are going towards the end of our discussion, and I just allow you to just talk to us about things that we have not talked about. You have a big life that, of course, I couldn't have covered in all the questions that I've talked to you about. Areas that you believe people should know about. What don't we know about it, about you, for
About
example?
me.
What is it that people who see you from a distance don't know about you?
Oh, people from a distance, what they don't know about me. Okay, I did mention I'm a Coke lover. I love
Coke.
Coke. Yes, I love
Coke.
Coke.
Why?
It's the I love the drink Coke.
Okay, let's
It's
not
imminent.
advertise Coke.
The-
But
uh,
how did you go back to that life of junk when after prison you say you're living a very? Did you go back to? You didn't follow. Why didn't you follow?
the,
Like
the,
stick
the,
to
the,
strict
the
diet.
inmate diet.
Yes.
I try to follow it. Coke is really nice, you. Yes, but yeah,
Coke
no.
is not nice. Well advertised. Okay, let's not go there.
Immunati. What? Yeah, I try to eat healthy. I really do try to eat healthy. Yes, Mara. What
Why
people
don't we know? Surprise
about
us.
me?
Yeah,
Something that you
surprise
don't
us.
know about me.
Yeah.
Well, before the book came out, only a few people knew about the book before it came out. So now a lot of people are like, "Oh, you wrote the book." So I think maybe other things that people don't know, maybe I'm not propelled to say right now. but I'm a sensitive person. People don't know that I'm sensitive. I'm quite word sensitive.
What do you mean sensitive?
I can pick. I can easily pick attitudes and hear words between words. Sometimes, yeah, I'm very sensitive. People don't know that, but it's all right.
And then what do you
And
do?
it depends. I've learned to express myself, but like maybe confront people if maybe it's getting a bit too heavy for me. If there are no boundaries, I've learned to express myself. But yeah, probably that's something that people don't know. I'm quite sensitive, and I'm word sensitive.
Word sensitive means what?
And tone of voice,
You get upset easily. No.
I can get affected easily in the way that you speak to me.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I guess that's something people don't know about me.
Because you're
Yes.
always laughing, because you're
Yes.
always chubby, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they'll think you'll just cruise through life and not get offended. So what kind of things will offend you, for example? You don't mind when people talk about you, do you?
Talk about me. In what? Like, what do you mean talk about me?
No, like people talk about people. I always hear
Oh.
people say simple minds talk, but those are just talk because
Oh,
people,
no.
you're offended by people demeaning you. People what?
like tone of voice usually, like if you're going to yell at me or something, yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So any last words? You're a young person who wants to write, we want to be a DJ, especially in the church environment. I want us to always come back to church. Like I say, there's sometimes they believe that church people are confined and constricted. There are laws, don't do this, don't dress in baggy pants, whatever. What did you say to a young person? Or maybe not a young person, maybe even my age who always dream but have these unfounded fears, or I can't do this because I'm a Christian. Not sinning, but just expressing and being true, not trying to copy anybody. What can you say to that person?
I'd tell them that, drawing into your in and learning God for yourself will give you the freedom to express the person that you should express about yourself. Freedom is something that first you have with God and before you express it with other people. Yes, freedom is a spirit of God.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
freedom is a spirit of God, and boldness is a spirit of God.
He says, I'm not given the spirit of timidity.
Yes, and truthfulness
Yes,
is a spirit
yes,
of God.
yes.
So just read the word alone.
For yourself.
Read the word alone as well. Meditate and be comfortable with yourself and God. And then you'll be able to have good relations with other people as well. Because a lot of these fears come from our relationships with other people.
Yeah.
Yes.
I liked what you said earlier. You said, you talked about, what was that? It's still about freedom. That, it's about knowing yourself, knowing God for yourself. So, because you said the way Christ was presented to you, that's what you said earlier. Sometimes maybe that's why people then tend to have this unfounded fears because of how Christ. So you are emphasizing the importance of learning Christ for yourself.
Yes.
And knowing or fears are based on untruths. So actually, you'll be saying but Christ should actually be freer because
They should be true because they have the truth. We have the truth. So the truth sets us free. The truth is all freedom. It's all freedom. And anything that the Spirit of the Lord chains within you, then that's freedom in itself. So the truth is freedom. It's freedom. I believe it's all things that the relationship. People should ask God, ask the Spirit of God to reveal how you can befriend God and be a child of God, be a son of God and relate to Him that way so that you are more free with God. Then that way you'll be more free with the creation of God, including people.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, well, maybe you should, maybe even the area, or what comes to mind that makes you afraid? Because sometimes people will say, you think first about Horbatubatarim before you understand, is this the right thing or not the right? Because I think we should start, shouldn't you start from there? Or is that you do something because you're informed, a Christian maybe by the Holy Spirit, is that the right thing to do? Before you think about people. Maybe fears come from the fact that you think first about what will Lesedi say before you even listen to your heart.
Absolutely, yes, true.
So so then it's important maybe now that you're broken into the mode, you're broken now, it's any more mainstreamy, to tell people, oh, there's nothing to fear.
There's nothing
Church
to
is
fear.
actually facilitative.
Absolutely. The fear that you feel in relation, it's actually it's true because the word of God does say the fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom. Yes, so if you're going to have any fear or any of that horror, let me check first. Check first with God. Then you have all the freedom then. Yes, so but yes, church is a body that God really loves. God gave us the church. Jesus left the Holy Spirit to build the church. So you can only expect support in what you do. You can only expect love. You can only expect good things, freedom from church. But then first let it flow from you. You give it to people. Give freedom to people, give love to people, give support to people. And then it will flow from there.
So I guess then you are saying it's what you have learned. Your attitude towards anything is what you have told your heart. And therefore it is important to unlearn the things that want to make you believe this will not be acceptable. Fear doesn't come from God.
Not at all. Yes.
So I was talking to you earlier where you said you never struggled with self-esteem because of maybe how you're brought up. So you didn't have an aha moment or, hey, now I'm free. So, and therefore you can say to people, Christianity, that's the only way that you can be free, and therefore be freer. You should expect Christians to be freer than to be, I don't want to just
Yes.
nod your head.
Holy Spirit filled people are the most free people. They're not afraid of anyone. They're only afraid of God. So they're most free. Yes.
Okay. So, but thank you so much for talking to us, Lesedi. Unless you have anything last to say, but really I think we have talked.
Yeah.
Or you still feel that the bucket is still here to
Well, thank you so much for having me. Yes, please. This book here is 150 pula. You can get it from me. It's only 150 pula. Call me on 7144-2410. There's also the page on Facebook, Little Ngwana Stories. Get in touch with us and we'll bring the book to you. It's also available at Botswana Bookstore at the main mall. Otherwise, so this is me, Lesedi. I'm just out to spread the gospel of the Lord to the people and encourage people in the Lord, and also myself grow in the Lord. You know, it's beautiful. My favorite verse in the Bible is Proverbs 4:18, which says that the being in the Lord, you know, gets better every day.
Yeah.
Every day will be better than the day before. It's just like, it's true. It's true. That is totally true. So it'll only get better. It's getting better for me. It's getting better for you.
Okay,
Absolutely.
now Lesedi is taken over. It was really a good time to have Lesedi around. Thank you and really good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Little Wana. How about we read about Abale and Mpo and other little Nwanas? Get captivated with Little Nwana stories. Only 150 pula.